staying with the NCN 6 o'clock news. $720 million will be spent to improve the water sector in Regions 2 this year. On a recent visit to the Essequibo Coast, Minister of Housing and Water Irfan Ali met with residents of several communities and discussed developmental plans for the region. Natasha Smith has more.
According to Minister Ali, the money will be spent on projects including a water treatment plant at Lima and 3 new wells in other areas. These projects are expected to benefit around 40,000 persons on the Essequibo Coast.
Budget. So we're spending 70 million in charity for a new well, 50 million on the Neming, and 600 million at Lima. And the total population that would benefit, the total customers that would benefit, in Anna Regina we have about 18,000 customers that would benefit. Charity, another 12,000 customers, on the Neming 10,000. So you're talking about 40,000 customers that would benefit.
The minister led a visit to the region on Thursday to inspect projects and meet with residents to discuss issues affecting them in the sector. He visited the Pomona housing scheme and the Underneming squatter settlement, which is slated to be regularized soon. While there, he urged residents to be vigilant for new squatters who might want to move in the area.
What we are planning to do is that we will come on a 2-day one-stop shop where we'll have all the services of housing provided here, right here, and we're going to push to complete allocation of all the house lots that remains in the system for Region 2 by the end of this year. Right? That is the target we are setting for Region 2.
Minister Ali also met with residents of Charity who expressed concern over several issues, including poor quality of water and non-occupation of house lots. Regional officials were tasked to lend assistance to the residents to clear drains and address the housing and water problems they are faced with. Minister Ali also visited the Saudi housing scheme, which is now ready to be handed over to the NDC. The Housing Ministry is currently processing hundreds of house lots applications in Region 2, while instances of persons owning more than one house lot are being investigated. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, Natasha Smith.
Prime Minister Samuel Hinds says now is the time for Guyanese to work together to move the country forward in light of the current global financial crisis. He made this comment moments ago as the debate on the 2009 national budget began in the National Assembly. Edward Lane was there.
And developments and show a sense of understanding and teamwork, all in the interest of the greater good of the land in which they live. He noted that with the current external financial pressures, the time is opportune for unity among Guyanese, which will result in a progressive Guyana.
If ever we needed to be one Guyana team, the time is now. If ever all of we needed to be one Guyanese family, the time is now. If ever there was need for greater harmony, the time is now. It is only a sense justified in daily transactions of us being members of one team, one family, which will provide us the agility and flexibility to turn the current world crisis into an opportunity for Guyana and we Guyanese.
The Prime Minister made this statement in light of earlier calls by PNCR's Basil Williams for greater inclusiveness in government business. The Prime Minister meanwhile dismissed all claims of government moving around with a begging bowl to get overseas funding and noted that had it not been for the so-called begging bowl, the administration would have had to increase taxes.
Well, without the begging bowl, there would have been much, much less money to be spent. $18.8 billion less.
Meanwhile, PNCR's Volda Lawrence has called on government to resolve existing problems facing the Guyanese people, including the reduction of VAT, audited accounts for Carafesta and the 2005 floods.
Sir, I reiterate the need for the government to commit itself to effective oversight and accountability. I have no doubt that this will facilitate meaningful participation of our people.
The budget debate continues this evening in the National Assembly. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
Well, minibus operators have an additional month to remove lewd drawings and slogans from their vehicles. This follows a move by the Guyana Police Force to bring some degree of decency to the public transportation system. Nicasia Logan has more in this report.
Home Affairs Minister Clement Rohi says this decision was made following a request from bus operators for more time to remove the markings. This is in keeping with the recently amended Clause 14 of the Road Services License for minibuses.
Well, I think the Commissioner of Police met with these individuals and they drew to his attention some of the financial and other implications that are involved in removing those slogans from the bus. Some will have to be totally sprayed over and so forth. So I think it was necessary to give them some additional time for them to do that kind of work.
Minibus operators were previously given up to February 15 to comply with the amended regulation, which has now been changed to March 15. Clause 14 of the Road Services License was amended in January, making it mandatory for all load drawings and slogans on minibuses to be permanently removed. However, markings depicting the prescribed color code and number, registration number, zone, seating capacity, and destination will be accepted. Nakasi Logan for the NCN 6 o'clock news.
Human Services Minister Priya Manikchand has called for persons to be proactive on the issue of violence against women in the wake of 3 murdered women at the weekend. 2 women at Smithfield, New Amsterdam, and 1 at Port Kaituma were bludgeoned to death in 2 separate incidents early yesterday. NCN's Mark Murray spoke with Minister Priya Manikchand moments ago. Efforts are being made to get you that story in tonight's newscast. If not, you'll get it in a subsequent cast. National Tuberculosis Coordinator Dr. Jitendra Mohanlal says the number of new TB cases for 2008 has reduced to that of the previous year. He's now urging families and community members to get involved in the fight against TB by ensuring patients take their medication. Onika Jones.
According to the World Health Organization, tuberculosis in prisons has been reported to be up to 100 times higher than that of the civilian population. The organization believes that late diagnosis, inadequate treatment, overcrowding, poor ventilation, and repeated prison transfers encourage the transmission of the infection. National TB Coordinator Dr. Jitendra Mohanlal says efforts are being made to reduce the situations in the prisons here.
Well, we have been giving them some support to refurbish isolation units and infirmary over the years. We have done one at Georgetown Hospital, at the Georgetown Prison, and also the New Amsterdam Prison through our partners from CEDAW. We're now looking at Mazaruni, and in the next phase of our project, we'll be dealing with Lusignan to have a refurbishing area where persons with communicable disease, you have a well-ventilated area. So these are things we look at over the period of time.
Dr. Mohanlal noted that over the past 3 years, some 20 to 30 inmates have been diagnosed with tuberculosis. The TB coordinator says those inmates are being monitored on a regular basis.
About 90% of persons who are exposed to the germ don't develop tuberculosis. But should that person, someone be exposed to certain risk factors, maybe incarceration, persons there not having much nutritional support and all these things, as it should, all these things could, increase your risk for developing tuberculosis.
The Health Ministry has established active TB clinics in the Georgetown, Mazaruni, and New Amsterdam prisons, among others. Dr. Mohanlal indicated that overall figures show that some 500 new TB cases have emerged in 2008. Onika Jones, the 6 o'clock news.
Region 3 Chairman Julius Ferber is calling on the Public Health Department in the region to institute charges to persons guilty of littering. Mr. Ferber says there are fines for persons found breaking the law, but they are not being enforced. Giselle Archibald filed that report.
Garbage has been a growing problem for the regional administration of the Essequibo Islands and West Demerara. So much as the regional chairman, Julius Ferber, has begun to call on the Public Health Department to enforce the laws as it relates to this issue.
Yes, the public health authorities do have, and we have been asking them to institute fines on these areas where we find people who are defaulting.
The chairman says the Public Health Department has been having some problems charging persons. He was unable to say if anyone has ever been charged for this act in the region. Mr. Ferber says the region's administration has been sensitizing persons about the dangers of dumping garbage. He has made a further appeal to persons in the region to desist from dumping garbage as it will be harmful later.
We have been doing it on an NDC basis. Each NDC would put out flyers, have notice boards written up and such like. We have a problem with garbage, people dumping garbage on the roadside and the waterways. And we are appealing to residents of Region 3 to desist from doing that because it's going to create problems for us later down the road.
A body was set up in the region comprising of the EPA, local businesses, and the Region 3 administration to curb this problem. For the NCN 6 o'clock news, I am Giselle Archibald.